exam or nothing like that. Just me enjoying what I'm studying. And around class 7th, I started studying books of higher classes as well. Like for example, when I was in 7th, I started studying a little bit of 9th, a little bit of 10th, and so forth. So in a way, I was preparing for this exam since a long time, but not directly. If I have to say, when I actually became focused on the JEE, it was probably somewhere around in class 12th. Like I was in a coaching and all of that was there, but my heart was not set towards that exam. I was just studying for some other Olympiads or just for my own sake. Because honestly, I found the whole JEE prep thing a little bit. I mean, it was not very difficult for me because I'd been studying those topics for such a long time. So around class 12th, I started focusing specifically on J. And at that point, I didn't even know what happens in an IIT. Like I had no idea what goes on in IITs. I had no idea what this whole computer science or engineering or any of those things were. I just like the subjects. Simple as that. Okay. And I had a little bit of inclination for entrepreneurship even back then, because like if you look up my JEE interviews, like I think there's an interview by NDTV, yeah, or Vion. I don't remember who exactly it was, but they asked me ki, what company do I want to join? So even then I said ki I want to start my own company. So that much was clear to me for a very long time. So either I would start something of my own or I would go for research. I mean, in 11th and 12th, that was my thought process.
Uh, Very good to know that, Kalpit. Now, I would like to ask you that your journey is truly inspiring, and since most of the students here are in class 12th and 11th, and compet they are competing for competitive exams. So, as we see more JEE toppers and high achievers choosing paths that align closely with their personal passions and interests, even venturing into fields beyond the conventional IIT route, it's clear that success has many forms. Even in 2022, All India Rank 1 of JEE Advanced chose to go to ISC Bangalore to study instead of any IIT. You too became an entrepreneur. What inspired you to become an entrepreneur even when you were pursuing your degree from IIT Bombay?
I would say that again, I think people who are high achievers get pushed into a lot of categories by the society as default, because I don't know, people have a lot of perceptions about people. They have a lot of stereotypes कि अच्छा this guy, he's a topper guy, तो ये इस तरह का होगा, अच्छा ये इस तरह का होगा, like, but those are not true. Especially if you consider how small the sample space is. Like we have had maybe 30 J toppers in the last 30 years, right? So you cannot categorize ki, acha, this is a pattern. But if I had to say, what typically happens is that people who do get very good ranks in these exams, a they are not people who are extremely yeah, they are not people who are extremely good with other people. For example, they are not people who are of the business mind. Okay, they are mostly people who are a little bit shy. They like to stay introverted, and they just want to study. Okay, that's probably the archetype of the average the top ranker, right? Or even the average ranker. Like they like to study a lot. Okay, so which is why you will see that a lot of J topper people, they end up going into academia. Okay, because they enjoy study. That is how they became the topper, because they like to study, right? And even I personally, like when I was in 11th and 12th, I thought that I would probably become a scientist of some, yeah, they thought that I would become a scientist of some kind. But um, then later when I was in like first or second year, I realized that it's probably not something that suits me. I just didn't like, because when you're in 11th and 12th, or in lower classes, the science you study is very interesting and it's very visual. But once you go in first year, second year, you start seeing that a lot of, especially physics or math, it stops being visual. Like it's not something that's interesting unless you're really into that kind of a study. So it just stopped intriguing me, right? So I don't know about the other toppers, and I don't know how they did, but for me it was basically, I didn't like the academia thing, because I told you I didn't like the kind of study that where it was heading. I did like some other things, like I really enjoyed theoretical computer science during my time at IIT. I took a lot of courses of that as well, and I still study that from time to time on my own. But did I have the kind of commitment that would be needed to do a PhD or something in it? I don't think so. And honestly, I don't see the point of it much either. Like, if you think that you're going to make some major breakthrough by, becoming a researcher, most of the time it doesn't work like that, because today research is very collaborative. You cannot do something as an individual. You have to, go to the US in some of the top labs of that particular field, and then collaborate with the department, and there's somewhat of a political thing going on as well. So it just didn't seem worth the hassle to me, and I didn't see, like, I didn't see the point of it. Plus, in India, there's not much you can do when it comes to research. So, um, and I didn't want to move to the US. So research was out of, like, that. That was not an option for me. Then the job thing, honestly, I have too much of an ego to do a job, and also it's because I just don't, like, I would think that, okay, I studied a bunch of things. I'm this topper, I'm that topper, and in the end, I'm doing yet another computer software engineering job at Microsoft. Like, for that, you don't have to be an IIT Bombay CS guy. You can go to any NIT and be a topper. Then you can still get into Microsoft. So I didn't see the point of it. Plus, honestly, the money thing. Like, I know to a lot of people, these 40 LPA, 50 LPA, these seem like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, this is not a very big amount of money. Like, when you start doing business and when you are dealing in the entrepreneurial world, there you will talk in crores. You will, the funding amounts are in hundreds of crores. So, uh, like, when you look at that picture, this picture starts seeming very, short sighted. So because of that also, I was like, कि यार job तो नहीं करनी है, right? So then I was left with this option only. And if I'm being very honest, none of this was planned. I didn't plan कि अच्छा मेरे को तो ऐसे चलना है. I just had a vague thought कि अरे I want to do something of my own. That was for sure. But I didn't plan anything. I was just making content about JEE on after my exams were over. Like, I was basically a first year student. I had lots of free time on my hands. तो ऐसे ही लिखने लग गए नेट पर कि अच्छा मैं ऐसे पढ़ता था, मैं वैसे पढ़ता था, ये वाली बुक खरीद लो, ये वाली बुक मत खरीदो, like things like that. And it was working, people were liking it, so I kept on doing it. Then I started my YouTube, then I launched my first course. Then it did well, it did really well. Then I launched another course, then I hired more people for the courses. And now, in those 3 4 years, 2020 to 2022, I would say, we made so much money that we diversified into other things as well. We diversified into finance as well. So uske baad, like, now I would say the whole academic thing is like 10-20% of our income. Now most of the income is made from our financial movements. So for example, we invest in a lot of companies. So from that kind of a thing, we are making more money now. Similar to what how the stories of one person I really looked up to is Warren Buffett, right? So he has also started out something like this only. He first, when he was like 20-21 years old, he was, I think he did some insurance stuff back then, and then he built up a small cash, and by small I mean a few $1 million, right? So we are at that kind of a position, and now I'm like, ki, if we invest the capital in other businesses, I think that can be very big avenue of growth. So, like, it was like एक कड़ी से दूसरी कड़ी जुड़ती गई, and one from one thing, okay, JEE topper, he's getting good attention, let's write, okay, let's start videos, okay, let's launch a course, okay, let's see what we can do with this money. So, like, it was one step after the another. It was not planned at all. So it was a bit convoluted, but I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. As you said that you didn't plan to start Acadboost, it was a continuous process. So on that note, I'm curious about what initially inspired you to take on the challenge of building an online coaching platform. Was there a particular moment during your JEE preparation or during your college years because of which you came to the idea of starting Acadboost, or just it was like mm, without any plan?
Again, as I just described, it was not something planned. Um, just a second now. Yeah. So it was not something planned. I was just doing one thing, and it led to another, and it just kept growing. And that is how it works. You cannot attend some kind of a session and then think, "Yeah, अच्छा, इससे मेरे को idea आ जाएगा, इससे it doesn't work like that. You just do whatever you're doing. You just live your life normally, and then something strikes you. कि अच्छा okay, why not do this thing, okay, let's do this, okay. Then you just start doing it. And I'll give you two or three instances of it. Like the way I started out was through the JEE business, right? So how did that come about? I was just thinking ki, so I just remembered, like when I was in my first year, there was this very big educational company which approached me, and then they were giving me a certain amount of money per month. Ki, Kalpit, you work with us, you make this kind of a content or something, and we will pay you this much amount of money. And it was a very good amount of money for me back then. And by the way, that company recently, we were in talks for an acquisition also, like I think 2022, but it didn't go through because we didn't like the terms. But yeah, uh, I'm just trying to tell you कि we start that particular company. That is how it got started. They just approached me, and then I was like, okay, this company is offering me this much amount of money. It means कुछ होगा इसलिए दे रहे हैं, यूं ही थोड़ी दे रहे होंगे, right? So I researched, I had reached out to a few friends who were doing this kind of a thing, ki, who were working at that particular company teaching or marketing their products or something. I was like कि अच्छा इसमें क्या business रहता है ये, how much do you earn, like things like that. And then I was like अच्छा ये तो सही चीज है. So there it struck me कि why do I not build my own platform, like I can build my own thing also, right? कि अपना खुद का बना दो ना मतलब. And then a few of my friends also laughed कि भाई ये खुद का कैसे बन जाएगा, like it just is, it doesn't exist in the minds of a person. मतलब, I'm quite amused, and it's quite amazing that a lot of people as smart as IITians, they think that something cannot be done. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. मतलब, you can go out and do anything you want. No one is, ऐसा कोई permission नहीं लेनी है किसी से कि मैं ये चीज कर सकता हूँ नहीं कर सकता. You can do whatever you want. So मतलब no one was even thinking, मतलब even I shared this thought with a few friends कि यार ये पर्टिकुलर कंपनी ना ये ऐसे ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज बना के बेचती है यूपीएससी के, जेई के, नीट के, तो अपन खुद का बना के क्यों नहीं बेच सकते. तो दे वर लाइक अरे पागल है क्या, ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. लाइक it just doesn't exist in their mind. It's very tragic. Okay, so I think that is one of the biggest reasons that I succeeded here, because I don't keep limitations in my mind. I don't think if something cannot be done. Okay, like if you learn the right things, if you do things the right way, if you keep that, you can do anything you want. So that is how I got started. Like that is where the inspiration struck me कि यार खुद का क्यों नहीं start कर लेते. And that is how I slowly started building my own channel, my own courses and all that stuff. And then the second moment it struck me was, so in 2021 I think, yeah, so in 2021 I started this so there was this forum on which I was like anonymous forum, okay, like think something like a Reddit, I don't know. So there, people are discussing some business stuff. So by then I had made a few around $1 million or something at in 2021 or so, around in 2 years of business. So there were some people are discussing this kind of a business model where, which I was exactly doing. You have some social media following, and then to them you are selling some online product, right? So there people were asking a lot of questions, and then I was, since I knew about this thing, I was like answering them. Ki, acha, acha, aise karo, aise karo. Like it was a it was not an Indian forum. So there was discussing, and then I saw a lot of people were taking interest in that. Like a lot of people were asking me, they were literally like कि भाई ये चीज कैसे होगी, like how do you grow your YouTube, how do you price the product, what should be done. So I thought that okay, there's a demand for this also. So then I again started my own forum. Again, nobody even knows about it. Nobody knows its name. It's very anonymous, but it operates mainly in the US and Europe. So there, it's all about business. Like people just talk about business. Ki if they have some problem, they share. Then some other people, they answer it, and then they ask their own set of doubts. There are a few products as well, some guides, some consultation. People can connect with each other related to consultation. So again, ये idea किससे आया? From the JEE business. Okay, and then from both of these things I was making quite a bit of money, and I was like यार इसका क्या करें अब. तो मैंने थोड़ा और रिसर्च किया कि इन्वेस्टिंग के बारे में, फॉर एग्जांपल, राइट. तो वहाँ पे आई डिस्कवर्ड दैट यू कैन एक्चुअली इन्वेस्ट इन कंपनीज एंड they can pay you out a little bit of their profit. Like, I was not thinking about this thing. मेरे को नहीं पता था यार ऐसा भी होता है क्या. I was like भाई ये तो सही है, मतलब मैं इसको पैसे दे रहा हूँ, ये मुझे पैसे वापस दे रहा है, सही है भाई, मतलब आफ्टर अ रेट ऑफ रिटर्न, राइट. So from there, I started learning about investing as well. And now most of our money is made by investing. Like the Acadboost business, it makes more money than the original job that I was offered by that company. Okay. And the consulting business, it makes more money than Acadboost. And now the investing, it makes more money than all of these things combined. So like things get connected from a link to a link to a link. Okay. You cannot plan for these things. It's just a lot of serendipity. It's a lot of luck. It's a combination of different factors.
That's such a unique experience, Kalpit. Let's explore something related to that. Transition from a student to an entrepreneur is a big leap, especially right after the rigorous demands of an IIT education. Could
Mhm.
you share your experience on this transformation? How did you realize that these enterprising qualities were developing within you?
Uh, Again, I think that this whole experience thing is quite overrated. As I said, you can do anything you want. You don't have to seek permission. I think the biggest problem for a lot of people is that they are always seeking permission from someone. Like they're always seeking some kind of an approval. Ki, am I worthy of being an entrepreneur? Do I need a certain level of experience? There's nothing like that. There are 15-year-old kids who are making lakhs of rupees per month doing something, doing something. I don't know what they are like. There are, for example, uh, like it will sound like a very weird example, but for example, there's this streamer out there. I think I show speed, right? He's younger than you. He's probably 2 3 years older than a lot of people in the audience. He just started streaming. He like, of course, you think of him as an entrepreneur, but at the core, he's also an entrepreneur. He's making a lot of money doing those things. Okay, so he just started doing those things. He didn't wait for anyone to tell him ki, you can do this. So there's no experience, there's no like ऐसा कुछ age limit नहीं है. You can be 15 years old, you could be 65 years old, it doesn't matter. So the whole experience and skill set thing, I think it's a little bit overrated. What should be done is ki you just jump into the field. That is how I did it, that is how you should do it. Just jump into the battleground, you will figure something, like you will figure things out. And your biggest advantage is that you are young. Okay, all of you are like 11, 12, or even the team is like 20, 21, 22 max, right? So you can just jump into the battlefield, with no backup, and just get started. बस कूद जाओ, like for example, I'll tell you about myself as well. Okay, yeah, कूद जाओ मतलब battlefield में कूदना है. So I'll give you an example. So when I was in my second year, so in IIT you have this whole resume thing, right, where you have to make a resume. I think it's second year, third semester it starts. You have to make a resume and then you have to submit to PT cell. And again, I'm not the, again I said I have too much ego for all these things. So like फिर उसमें ऐसे था कि अच्छा मैं अपने बारे में लिखूं कि मैंने क्या क्या उखाड़ा है, एंड देन फिर मैं किसी को दूंगा, एंड देन दे विल अप्रूव इट. I didn't like any of that. I was like, why am I seeking approval from this mentor guy? Like, who is he to tell me कि भाई ये लिख, ये मत लिख? Like, I was just got frustrated of it, and then I just stopped doing it. Like, I remember I did it for 2 days, and then I stopped making my resume. I don't have a resume. Like, you can search. I don't have a resume, right? So I didn't make a resume. I didn't even register on the PTCL website, and that would mean that I will not get an internship. But I was like, यार internship करने के लिए थोड़ी बनने हैं यार. Like, you should do something bigger than that. So I just jumped into the field. I ignored all the other options. I let go of the backup, and I just jumped. And मतलब उस समय I was making like 5 10,000 a month from my YouTube channel and all, from my blog, I guess. So फिर क्या है, आप force होते, you get forced कि अच्छा यार अब मेरे पास और कोई backup नहीं है. Now I have to make this thing work. कि I have to start making an equivalent. So I remember when this whole internship season started, I was making like 10 12,000 a month. And internship में लोगों को मिल रहे थे 30 40 50 हज़ार रुपए, second year internships, right? So by the time the summer arrived, I was making that much money because I was forced into it. अपने आप दिमाग खुलता है कि do this, do that. So that is how it worked. And then I also didn't sit for placements. Okay, तो अपने आप फिर like, and at that time I was making like 1 lakh 80,000 80,000 90,000 a month. Okay, something like the 70,000 80,000 1 lakh a month. And the placements of IIT Bombay CSE are like 3 lakh 4 lakh a month, right? So I was like, यार placement में तो नहीं बैठ रहे, तो ये 3 4 लाख रुपए कमाने भी तो चाहिए ना इंडिपेंडेंटली, वरना क्या मतलब हुआ, like otherwise I should have sit for the placements, right? So then I thought कि क्या करें, चलो. So that is how I thought कि I should launch a product. मैंने सोचा कि यार चलो मैं अपनी एक कोर्स बना के बेचता हूँ 5,000 रुपए का. मैंने सेल किया, and it made me more money than I could have earned in 5 years if I sat for placements, like in 1 month. Okay, तो like तब मेरा दिमाग खुला यार कि यार चलो, मतलब like once you push yourself, once your back is on the wall, that is when you will मतलब अपने आप you get that whole creativity thing going on, that survival mode kicks in, and then you start figuring out कि यार कैसे मैं वो earning या whatever that financial goal is, how can it be achieved. So I think the whole backup thing is a lie. Don't keep backups in your life. Just stick to one thing. And like you can have backups when you're older, when you have like for example at my age, like I'm 25. I'm not that much older, but still now I'm expected to have a certain level of income and stability and whatever it is, right? So now I won't be able to take as much risk as someone like you would. Okay, like someone who is like 15 in the audience, they can take a lot of risk because you don't have any expectations. आप अगले 6-7 साल तक if you don't earn a single rupee, nobody is going to question you. So use that chance to take very risky shots. Okay, so I think your original question was what skills are needed. So I think a the determination, the courage to jump into the field. B, you need to have the ability to learn. And C, I would say kick off all the options, like cut off all the backups. It will look like a stupid decision right now, but like if you're talented, you don't need backup. So for example, I had a lot of network and connections anyway. Like if I wanted to get an internship, I didn't have to rely on IIT Bombay, right? I could just ask someone from my network ki, भाई मेरे को Google में internship चाहिए. Like I have some friends over at Google US office or whatever office. I can just tell them and then they will arrange an interview for me. So backup की कोई जरूरत नहीं होती है if you are talented or if you are good enough. Okay, it's just a lie. It's just I know a lot of the things that I'm talking about are mostly mental stuff because it is mental. It is mental. This whole entrepreneurship thing it's mostly mental only. Like if you, I mean, in a way, it is a bit mentally retarded as well. Ki, you're leaving all the stability of a job and you're like, why are you doing this? So it's mental in that way also, but it's also mental in this other way that it's mostly about changing your mindset towards being more risk taking and towards figuring out what's working and what's not. So yeah, these are the 3-4 different skills that are needed, and that is how I accumulated those skills as well by all those events that happened.
वेरी इंसाइटफुल कल्पित। और जैसा कि आपने बताया था कि आपके फ्रेंड्स ने आपका स्टार्टिंग में मजाक उड़ाया था, मतलब हंसे थे जब आपने उनको आपका आइडिया बताया था कैटबूस्ट का, and also about your ego and self-esteem, a phase which you faced during your resume verification. So, as an entrepreneur in an educational field, especially one who is in the public eye and works directly with students, you are bound to face a variety of opinions, including criticism and sometimes negativity. For anyone building something meaningful, feedback can be a double-edged sword, as it can be constructive as well as challenging. With Acadboost impacting so many students, how do you personally manage negativity and criticism to stay focused and keep growing?
Okay, so first of all, I don't think I have much negativity going on. Like, I know a lot of people who are a lot hated everywhere. I'm sure I'm not one of them. Like mostly it's love only. So इतना मेरे को कभी कुछ face हुआ नहीं है. But then again, I have some very strict rules for criticism. So one thing is that I don't expect मतलब आपको like in terms of business, you should only accept criticism from people who are actually customers of your product. Like बहुत लोग पता है क्या करते हैं कि they don't even buy or think, they are just yapping, like कुछ भी बोल रहे हैं बस, like their feedback is not relevant because they have not used what you have built. They are just hating for no reason. So don't listen to that kind of a feedback. like जिसने आपकी चीज यूज ही नहीं करी है, जो आपको इतनी रिस्पेक्ट ही नहीं दे रहा है कि भाई आपकी चीज को एटलीस्ट वो यूज करे, उसके बारे में खुद एक एनालिसिस करे, then there's no point of their feedback. The only feedback you should take is people. अब जैसे कोई एक person है, उसने आपका product use किया actually, and he has worked on it for like 1 year or 6 months. He has been your customer for 6 months, and then they are saying something कि I like this product, but इसमें ये चीज problematic है. That feedback is valuable. Okay, so just listen to people who actually have used what you have built. And second, like the whole public, I think that is an unrelated thing. Like even if I was not doing this business thing, I would still be in the public eye. I was in the public eye much before that. So here I have two lessons. So don't aim to be in the public eye. Like I know it's very appealing ki, I want to be famous and all, but it's usually a distraction for business because you ideally want to be rich and anonymous, right? You want to be someone who has a lot of money and people don't know kahan se aa rahi hai, right? You want to be like that. But if you end up independently popular like I did, then I would say it helps to not read about it. Like don't try to just avoid it. Ignorance is a bliss in some cases. Like of course there are some things you should not avoid, but those things that you should not avoid, you will actually get them automatically. Like, people who actually want to give you some feedback, they will automatically reach out to you if they are doing it in good faith. Okay, and if someone is doing it in bad faith, then I don't think you need to give your energy to it. Like, just ignore it. That is what I do.
Yes, Kalpit. So coming back to JEE, generally people say that JEE Advanced not only tests your physics, chemistry, and maths, but also students' mentality and temperament. What are your thoughts on it, and how did it help you during your entrepreneurial journey?
Just a second.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually forwarding the link of. I just found the live stream link, so I'm just forwarding it to Yeah. So JEE. Okay. Again, the whole point of JEE is not the subjects that you learn, because the subjects will mostly not be used. So, for example, if you become a computer engineer, you will use some level of mathematics during your study. You will not use physics or chemistry almost at all. And in your job, you will not even use your undergrad education as much, right? You will use some portion of it. So in a way, 90% of your studies is wasted. Like, let me ask you, like, you are in IIT Kanpur, right? So what percentage of your education till class 12th is being used right now? Like, in a way, all of it is, but like Sanskrit, you're not using, history, you're not using, civics, you're not using, English, you're not, like, English, spoken English is being used, but that is different from the English. Like, if even if you didn't study the class 10th literature books, you would still be okay, right? So 90% of your education is wasted anyway. The point of it is, it's mostly, honestly, I think it's mostly a good way to pass your time. Like, ठीक है 10वीं में बच्चा है क्या करे चलो इसको इंग्लिश की किताब पढ़ा देते, like I think that is what most of the education is about. 10% of it is actually useful. सो डोंट टेक इट टू मच टू हार्ड. मतलब लोग ऐसे बहुत, मैंने देखा है, हाइपर हो जाते हैं कि भाई मैंने तूने तूने केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग करी है तो जॉब क्यों नहीं कर रहा है केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग की? भाई उसको सीएस की जॉब में ज्यादा पैसे मिल रहे हैं, ही इज डूइंग द सीएस जॉब, व्हाट्स योर प्रॉब्लम, राइट? सो एजुकेशन एंड योर जॉब और योर वर्क आर नॉट डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड, तो वो सब्जेक्ट काम नहीं आता है. The point of education is mostly to make you smart, to build some level of discipline. And honestly, it's just a collection of subjects you are taught कि भाई इसमें से कुछ काम आ जाए कभी. Like, why were you taught Hindi grammar and English grammar and maths? Like, why were you taught those subjects in class 9th or 10th? Because to some level trigonometry, अगर आप science में जाओगे trigonometry will be used. अगर आप journalism में जाओगे then your English or history lessons will be used, right? So that is why you are taught a basket of subjects. And why were you taught साइंस? बिकॉज यू चोज साइंस इन 11th, राइट? यू चोज इट, राइट? तो तुम कंप्लेन नहीं कर सकते कि भाई मेरे को ये चीज क्यों पढ़ाई है. सो सब्जेक्ट्स आर नॉट यूज्ड, बट how it helped me, I think it makes you smart. Like, if you are preparing for JEE and if you succeed in it, it means you are a smart person. So and smart people are in demand everywhere. Smart people will succeed, because, like, in business, what you have to do, you have to solve a problem, right? Ki I have to think of an idea which, if I build that idea and if I market it well, people will actually buy that thing. So these are all problems, right? Ki what to build, how to build it, how to sell it, these are all problems. So that whole J thing, it prepares you for problem solving in some way, or it's an indicator that you already know problem solving. So that is how JEE prep helped. And yeah, discipline and mentality, all that thing is there as well. For my case, the only thing that JEE did was to give me a massive ego ki bhai main to rank 1 hu. So you then you get pushed. Like, people don't understand this. Like, you get pushed because you have such a big shoulder. Like, जैसे मुझ पे बहुत expectations of everyone, right? At least of myself, I have a lot of expectation of me because I happen to top JEE. Is it rational? No, it's not. If you top JEE, it does not mean that you will also top in business. But that mentality definitely helps you. That chip on the shoulder, all that ego definitely helps you. Like, if I was ranked 1000, then I would probably not even think. I would not compete with people as much as I do now. Now I compete a lot, mostly to myself, but I compete a lot. Ki, I have to do better because I have to reach that benchmark again. I have to be the number one in business also. I have to be the number one in investing also. So in that sense, JEE has helped me a lot.
Yes. I think our audience will find that particularly inspiring. And so, on that note, Kalpit, the journey of an entrepreneur often brings unique challenges and invaluable lessons that can shape one's perspective and skills in a powerful way. Would you share some of the key skills and teachings that your entrepreneur experience has instilled in you, and how
Yeah.
these will impact both of the professional and personal growth?
Okay. I'll try to keep the answer short now because I think we are a bit. So I would say the number one the few learnings that I've had is to that just get started. Okay. After 2 years, you'll think that why didn't I get started today? Okay, so just get started, just jump into the field, you will figure something out. Like if you really want to be on, so it's not a question of entrepreneurship or not. You have to be very clear of what you want, what you like to do. Like, do you like to study mathematics? And don't ask yourself this in 11th, 12th. Ask yourself this in your undergrad. Do you like mathematics? Only then you should go for a mathematical career or a PhD. Do you like coding? If you actually like it, only then you should go for a job in, software engineering. um, and if you don't like doing a job, if you like your independence, like I like my independence a lot. Okay, that is to me my number one most valued thing, which is why I don't raise investor money, which is why I don't, take up debt, which is why I did not take a job. I just want to build my own profitable company, which I have, and just keep investing that money into more businesses, and then build an even bigger company, and then doing like that is what I want to do. That is the game that I want to do. So just figure out which game you want to play and stick to it. Okay, don't wobble around too much. People mostly don't change. You will stay the same person as you are after many years also at the core. So know what you want, and that is probably what you will want in the next 10 years also. So are you someone who wants to, I don't know, move to New York? Then work towards that, get a master's degree or whatever. Are you someone who enjoys your hometown? Then work on a plan to go back there. How can you do that? Can you build some kind of an business, some income stream that will enable you to work from home? Then you can do that. Like, know what you want. That is probably the number one most important thing. And it's not just a business advice, it's a life advice. You should be very clear on what you actually want in your life. Are you following something just because someone else told you कि मेरा roommate ये चीज कर रहा है मैं भी कर लेता हूँ? Don't operate like that. Know what you actually want in your life and take some time. मतलब एक दो साल लो और फिर figure out करो कि भाई मुझे ये चीज करनी है. And then just jump into the field and do it. Okay. And the second advice that I would give is that almost nothing cannot be achieved. Almost everything you want can be achieved. It's just a question of whether you want to do it and how much you want to do it. Like, if you want to really build something, if you want to do something, um, there are people out there who will happily support you. Okay, there are ways to do anything. Like इतने सारे government grants हैं, सड़ते रहते हैं यार, हर किसी को मिल जाते हैं. Why don't you apply from them? There are so many people who are absolutely dumb. They are getting funded. Why don't you try for it? There are ways to succeed for everyone, no matter what your economic background, no matter what who you are. It's just a question of how much grit you have. So uh, that will be the number two learning. And the number three learning is um, that do something that you actually enjoy. Like, uh, I know a lot of people do things that they don't enjoy because money. But let me tell you that in 2024 you don't actually need that much to live. Like सर्वाइवल के लिए कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि सर्वाइवल आप लोग कर लोगे. You are all smart people, you will do something to survive. Think of what you actually want to do, and what you actually enjoy, and work on it. क्योंकि आप किसी चीज को enjoy नहीं करते हो ना, तो आप वो चीज थोड़े साल बाद छोड़ दोगे, and then you anyway cannot build a big business out of it. So just pick something जिसमें आपको बहुत interest हो, and something that you really enjoy, and something that you can work for on 10 years, 20 years. Don't pick something कि कोई बस बाकी लोग कर रहे हैं, अच्छा सब यही कर रहे हैं, हम भी यही करते हैं. Don't do that. Pick something that you actually want to do, and you will probably make up a lot more money doing that, because आप वो चीज में actually interest लोगे. Okay, so if you are interested in robotics, so even if it's a hard field, 10 साल बाद you will figure out something, you will make some money. If you're interested in, I don't know, food, then do that. Okay, ऐसे सोचो मत कि अच्छा AI कर रहे हैं सब लोग, मैं food क्यों कर रहा हूँ, because that's your calling. Okay, so these are the three things कि do what you actually want to do, take some time and figure out what you want, and you can pretty much achieve anything that you want to. You just have to stick at it for a long enough time.
Absolutely right, Kalpit. It is true that success can be subjective. Every person has their own definition of success. So I want to know, what is your definition of success?
Uh, so again, you should know what you want. Okay. So what I want is lots of money, of course. Uh, that is there. But what I want is like I like my freedom a lot. I don't like ki, so one of the reasons I'm very glad I did not, take investment for my company. Like, I own all of it. So pehle I didn't have as much money as well. Like when I just started, I was making a lot of money, but I didn't have as much capital in the bank, because it takes time to accumulate money, right? Even if you are a high earner. सो तब मेरे को ऐसे ऑफर्स भी आते थे वीसीज के, लाइक इट वाज 2020, एंड पीपल वर आल्सो लाइक अप्रोचिंग कि चलो तो फंडिंग एंड ऑल दैट, लाइक देयर वर लाइक 2 3 फर्म्स एंड अ फ्यू एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स एंड ऑल. बट देन मेरा थॉट प्रोसेस था कि आई एम लविंग माय लाइफ राइट नाउ. लॉकडाउन था, मैं अपने घर पे था, एंड आई वाज मेकिंग लाइक आई डोंट नो 40 50 lakhs a month, something like that at that time. I was making good money. I was at home. I had little expenses. एकदम चिल कर रहा हूँ. मैं सोचा यार मतलब सही चल रहा है इसको, मतलब इसमें मतलब ट्विस्ट क्यों लाना फालतू में. सो मैंने सोचा यार कि नहीं यार, आई डोंट वांट फंडिंग. सो आई जस्ट नाउ थिंक कि अगर मैंने उस समय फंडिंग ले ली होती, I'm sure my life would have been pretty stressful now because EdTech as a sector has declined a lot. तो उसमें क्या वो massive explosive growth नहीं थी. In my case, I didn't suffer from that because again I was doing my own thing, and also because I shifted to other areas also, as I told you, right? But otherwise, if you are a pure EdTech business with VC funding, you are screwed basically right now because the revenue growth is not there, and revenue growth नहीं होती है तो investors they start asking for their money back, and your company is basically destroyed and your reputation is also destroyed. So I'm very glad I did not take VC funding, and now that I have that money that I wanted, like वो जो financial मुझे चाहिए था amount कि इतना होना चाहिए, like I have achieved that, and now I just want to grow it organically by building new profitable income streams and investing that money further. So for me, that has given me a lot of freedom. Nobody tells me what to do except for myself, right? So that is what I want, and that is what I think everyone should want. Uh, so yeah, that is to me success. That you are in control of where you want to be, and it doesn't have to be some like, if you want to be in control of your life, तो दो ऑप्शन है, या तो आप अपनी इनकम बहुत ज्यादा कर लो या फिर आप अपनी नीड्स बहुत कम कर लो. ओके, बोथ ऑफ दीज आर गुड ऑप्शंस. या.
Yes, Kalpit. So moving on to the Q&A session, we had circulated a Google form to our audience, and I have got some responses. One response is from Arav, and he is asking how to get customers in a new startup.
Yeah, it's actually a very good question, and I like the question as well because ज्यादातर लोग पता है क्या पूछते हैं, how to get funding, how to build a product, what idea should I work on. But this guy is asking how to get customers, which is the number one thing. If you have customers, like the whole purpose of a business is you want to have customers who are profitable for you, right? So, so the first few customers are the most difficult. Like the first 100 or the first 1,000 customers are the most difficult because once you have reached that number, then automatically you will get customers because they will tell their friends, or the word of mouth will spread, or you have done something to get to those 1,000 customers, right? So वो जो भी तरीका था, it could be influencer marketing, it could be content marketing, it could be search engine optimization, it could be advertising. वो जो भी तरीका था, that will spread your sales further. So the difficult thing is getting to the first 100 customers. So first I would tell you what not to do. So this is some advice that most people give कि अपने friends और family को जाके बेचो. I think this is horrible advice, and I'll tell you why. Because आपके दोस्त और आपके जो family है ना, sometimes they buy something just to make you happy. कि अच्छा मेरे भांजे का business है, चलो इसकी चीज मैं खरीद लेता हूँ, ये खुश हो जाएगा. That is not giving you real feedback. हो सकता है you are making the worst thing known to humanity, and just because your relative or friend is there, he is buying, तुम्हें लगेगा भाई देखो मैं तो पैसे कमा लिए. No, you did not. The real feedback will come from strangers. कि जो strangers हैं, who do not know you, who don't know you personally, are they buying your product or not? Okay, so that should be the goal. तो वो चीज कैसे क्रैक करनी है? सो ये कोई इंटेलेक्चुअल एक्सरसाइज नहीं है, दिस इज अ केस ऑफ बिजनेस ऑपरेशंस, राइट? कि आप फिगर आउट कर रहे हो कि क्या क्या चीज मैं करूं जिससे कोई कस्टमर आ जाए. इट्स नॉट एन इंटेलिजेंस और IQ थिंग, इट्स मोस्टली अ हसल थिंग. So I'll give you 3 or 4 ways in which you can acquire your first 100 customers. So first is cold emailing. Okay, 10,000 लोगों के emails ढूंढो जो आपकी चीज में इंटरेस्टेड हो सकते हैं. This works mostly for enterprise businesses, not for B2C. B2C is आइसक्रीम. जैसे तुम आइसक्रीम का ब्रांड बनाया तो उसमें क्या ईमेल करोगे लोगों को, राइट? सो इफ यू आर बिल्डिंग सम सॉफ्टवेयर फॉर entrepreneurs, राइट? तो 10,000 entrepreneurs के ईमेल ढूंढो जो आपकी फील्ड के हो. Okay, so let's say you built a software. So let's say you built a video streaming software like the one we are using. तो 100 ऐसे, सॉरी 1,000 लोगों को ईमेल करो जिनकी कंपनी में बहुत भयंकर लेवल पर वीडियो मीटिंग होती है. I'm giving a very crude example, probably not the best example, but let's say you are some software which helps people outreach better on cold email or something like that. तो जो कंपनीज ये चीज करती हैं उनके हेड ऑफ मार्केटिंग को, उनके सीईओ को, उनको आप कोल्ड ईमेल भेजो, उनको ईमेल करो कि hey, I have built this product, would you be interested in checking this out, would you like to book a sales call, would you like, या आप लिंक डाल दो प्रोडक्ट का ऐसे करके, राइट. सो आप ऐसे 5-10 हज़ार लोगों को रीच आउट करोगे तो उनमें से यू विल गेट सम काइंड ऑफ सेल्स. ओके. और फिर आपको क्या पता चल जाएगा कि यार मैंने 1,000 लोगों को मेल किया, उनमें से 10 लोगों ने खरीद लिया, तो मैं 10,000 लोगों को मेल करूंगा, 100 लोग खरीद लेंगे. लाइक यू विल फिगर आउट सच इक्वेशंस. ओके. Or content marketing is there. Content marketing is a little bit slow. For I did content marketing. I built my YouTube channel and usse sales aaya, right? So for me that channel worked out. And this content marketing thing is good for mostly consumer based businesses like mine, right? Or you can also partner up with someone who already has outreach. So for example, if there's an influencer जो makeup का काम करती है, example, and you build a makeup brand, so you can partner with them 50-50 or whatever, कि I will build the product and you will market it. So जो first 100 customers होते हैं, it's mostly about hustle, कि आप ऐसे डिफरेंट तरीके ट्राई आउट कर रहे हो, कंटेंट बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, एड्स रन करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, कोल्ड ईमेल कर रहे हो, इन्फ्लुएंसर्स को डीएम कर रहे हो कि भाई मेरा प्रोडक्ट प्रमोट कर दो, व्हाट्स द कॉस्ट, दिस दैट. सो इट्स मोस्टली अबाउट हसल. तो वंस यू फिगर आउट दोस फर्स्ट 100 कस्टमर्स, विच यू विल, साल भर लगेगा बट यू विल फिगर आउट, तो आपको ये पता चल जाएगा कि यार मेरे लिए यूट्यूब काम कर रहा है, इंस्टाग्राम काम नहीं कर रहा है, गूगल एड से सेल्स आ रही है, फेसबुक एड से नहीं आ रही है. एसईओ से, एसईओ इज बेसिकली रैंकिंग ऑन टॉप ऑफ गूगल सर्च, गूगल सर्च पे मेरा रैंकिंग हो रहा है, उससे सेल्स आ रहा है, चलो इस पे काम करते हैं. इन्फ्लुएंसर्स को शाउट आउट के पैसे दिए यार, इट डिडंट वर्क आउट, ये चीज बंद कर देते हैं. सो यू जस्ट डू अ बंच ऑफ थिंग्स, यू विल फिगर आउट कि भाई इस चीज से सेल्स आ रही है, इस चीज से नहीं आ रही है, एंड देन जस्ट डू मोर ऑफ व्हाट इज वर्किंग. दैट इज हाउ यू गेन योर फर्स्ट कस्टमर्स.
Thank you, Kalpit. So next question is from Samriti Losalka, and समृद्धि अपना हैंड रेस कर दो, हम आपको अनम्यूट कर देंगे, आप पूछ सकते हो क्वेश्चन. Just a second, Kalpit.
Yeah. Now maybe someone else can come in if she's having an issue.
There is some problem.
Yeah. Okay, she's there.
Maybe I can repeat her question. Okay. So Samriddhi is asking how to build strong network of people.
I would say don't build a strong network of people because this whole networking thing is extremely overrated. Like, मतलब मुझे तो बहुत अजीब लगता है कि ऐसे कहीं मीटिंग में जा रहे हो सूट पहन के, फिर हाय आई एम कल्पित, हाउ नाइस टू मीट यू. आई डोंट लाइक दिस स्टफ, इट्स वेरी फेक एंड आई डोंट नो, आई डोंट लाइक इट. ओके, सो डोंट डू इट. कुछ अच्छा काम करो, लोग अपने आप आके नेटवर्क बना लेंगे. लाइक whenever I go some, कुछ मैं जगह जाता हूँ वहाँ पे अपने आप ही लोग आ जाते हैं. लाइक पीपल रिकॉग्नाइज मी फ्रॉम लिंक्डइन और व्हाटएवर, या लिंक्डइन पे कनेक्शन अपने आप बन जाते हैं. जस्ट डू समथिंग गुड, टॉक अबाउट इट, पीपल विल ऑटोमेटिकली अप्रोच यू. इफ यू थिंक कि कोई नेटवर्क बना के मेरे को कोई 100 करोड़ दे देगा कि अच्छा भाई तो मेरे नेटवर्क में आ जा इधर आ, I don't think that's a good approach. It does work to some extent. जैसे for example, if you are someone who already has run a successful company. So for example, if I talk about myself, like I have already built one company. So now if I want to build a second company and I want to raise, I don't know, 100 crores for it. So it's not, I don't have to have a network for it. Like I can just tell people कि I am Kalpit. मैंने ये अपना पहला बिजनेस इतना तक ग्रो किया है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली पीपल विल बी इंटरेस्टेड इन इन्वेस्टिंग इन इट, है ना. यू डोंट हैव टू बिल्ड अ नेटवर्क, और फिर उससे अपने आप नेटवर्क आपका बन जाएगा. बट या अगर आपने कुछ अच्छा काम किया है, देन people automatically get connected in your network. So I am connected to a lot of investors and जो लोग startup scene में हैं, तो they already know me from whatever I'm doing. तो वो धीरे धीरे अपने आप नेटवर्क बन जाता है. एंड देन इफ यू वांट टू डू समथिंग विद दैट नेटवर्क, like if I want to raise a round, I can just ask them कि hey मेरे को राउंड रेज करना है. So it can help, but वो नेटवर्क तभी बनेगा जब you are actually doing something good. मतलब आप ऐसे नहीं कर सकते कुछ आप काम नहीं कर रहे हो और फिर पता नहीं किसी बड़ी मीटिंग में चले गए, वहां पे आपको लग रहा है कि अच्छा मैं सबसे नेटवर्क कर लूंगा, लोग मेरे को पैसे दे देंगे. It doesn't work like that. Do something actually valuable, the network will come to you.
Great, Kalpit. It was very inspiring and insightful for all of us to hear your entrepreneurial journey. And with that, I think it's the time to end the session. And it was a pleasure for me as well to moderate this interview. Since myself, I have watched a lot of your videos during my JEE preparation as well.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations for making it to IIT Kanpur.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and just a thing, I think a lot of people are still asking questions. So you can either ask them to me on my Instagram account, or you can email me, or Twitter पे या कहीं पे भी, like just ask me your questions there. I'll try to answer them. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot, Kalpit.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.